Hey, I wanted to just do a video to follow up on some information that I posted yesterday about Echolalia and Gestalt language learning. And I'm out hustling and bustling, so I have it's cold where I live, so I have my big jacket on, but I just wanted to drop in and just talk about it a little bit. I wanted to also give you a possible idea for something to do with your kiddos that present with echolalia. The first thing I want to do is just remind you guys or let you know that if you have a kiddo that has echolalia, so you'll say something and they will repeat what you say, a lot of times they probably don't have a lot of their own spontaneous language. So you might say something like, what do you want to eat? And they might just say, what do you want to eat? Instead of answering the question. Or how are you? And they say, how are you? So so basically make sure you're working with a speech and language pathologist so that you know if there's intention, what kind of echolalia that they're presenting with. Is there communication intent in the echolalia? Sometimes there is, sometimes they might be repeating something, or they might say something that sounds like a script to you. Like I think what I wrote yesterday, they might say something like, I like to eat apples and bananas. Or they might even sing it, I like to eat apples and bananas. And it may just sound like they're just repeating that. But that might be their way of telling you, I'm hungry. Can we eat something, or can I eat something? So I'm going to back up a little bit. There's a couple different types of echolalia, and a lot of kiddos that present with echolalia may also carry a diagnosis of autism or autism spectrum disorder, but not everyone. Some people are just what we call Gestalt language learners or language processors. So instead of learning and saying language words, one by one, and then starting to put them together to make phrases, like single words, then 2-word phrases, and then 3-word phrases. That's like a typical development. Some of our kiddos learn in complete phrases to start. So they might say something like, they might hear you say something like, do you want to eat breakfast? It's just a random example. And then when they want to eat breakfast, they might say, do you want to eat breakfast? Instead of saying, I want to eat breakfast. Or again, they might have something scripted like, I love to eat apples and bananas. And that's their way of saying, I want to eat. But what happens with some Gestalt language processors and language learners is at some point they might start to break down those phrases that are scripted or that they know as they've learned as a sentence or a phrase, break them down and then start moving the words around, and then hopefully start coming up with their own phrases that are more spontaneous and generated by them, not just a script of exactly what the initial sentence was. So sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't, but that's why it's good to work with a speech and language pathologist to figure out what's going on, and then what types of therapies will work for your kiddo. And there's an intermediate echolalia, so that's where I might say, what do you want to eat? And then they say, what do you want to eat? Or I might say, oh, I see that. And then they will say, oh, I see that. So they're saying it immediately after I've said it, or you've said it, or whoever has said it. Then there's something called delayed echolalia, where they repeat something that maybe they heard in a song, like I like to eat apples and bananas, or in a movie, their favorite movie, or any movie or TV show. And then they say that phrase later on, not immediately after they've said it. So they might say it like hours after, days after, weeks out after, whatever. And then sometimes, like I said, sometimes there's a communicative intent. So sometimes they're saying it, like I said before, because they're communicating something to you. So you really have to listen and not just kind of say, oh, they're just scripting, or they're just saying that and it has nothing to do with what we're doing. Sometimes it does, like I said before. Sometimes it means something, like I want to eat or whatever. There's an intent there. Sometimes, especially with our kiddos who have autism or autism spectrum disorder, it could be a way of self-regulating. So they might say that specific phrase when they are overstimulated, or overstimulated, anxious, whatever. And by saying that phrase over and over and over again, it may help calm them down or help regulate themselves. I'm trying to think of one. So my son watches a show that says there are robots in it, and they say no good, no good, no good, or that's no good. So that might be an example of something that maybe if the kiddo's overstimulated or nervous, they might just keep saying no good, no good, no good, no good, that's no good. And they're just trying to self-regulate. But that one may also have a communicative intent. Like if they're saying that's no good, they might be telling you, I don't want this, I don't want to do this. So you really have to pay attention, work closely with a speech pathologist to figure out what to do and how to help them. So I did bring one little book just to give you an example of what might work with some kiddos. Again, not everything works with the same kids. And then this is a younger book, but I have a kiddo that he's about 8, 9, and he likes Pete the Cat. So I did this kind of an activity with Pete the Cat. I Love My White Shoes is one of his favorite books. But basically, here's brown bear, what do you see? So it's pretty repetitive. It has carrier phrases. Brown bear, what do you see? I see it's hard to read upside down, a red bird looking at me. Red bird, what do you see? I see a yellow duck looking at me. So you can see that there's a lot of repetition. Brown, yellow, whatever animal, what do you see? And then I see a. So what you can do is read the book with your kiddo, and once they really know the book, you can do things like to try to get some spontaneous language where they're not just repeating you. You can say, brown bear, what do you? And then wait and see if they can fill in see instead of repeating brown bear, what do you? So they might say see. So then you can say, I see a, and see, you can say, I see a red, and pause and wait and see if they say bird. Or you can say, and then once you do the one word, if they're able to do that, you can then pause and not say like 2 words. So you could say, red bird, what do, and see if they say you see. So those are just some ways that you can try to start to get some sort of like spontaneous language. And then lastly, before I go, things to just try to avoid with a kiddo that presents with echolalia is asking open-ended like WH questions. Like not that you can't ever, but just try to avoid asking a lot of them, like how are you, or what color is it, or what, those types of questions. Likely they'll just repeat the question. A better way might be to just model language. So instead of saying let me see, what color is the tree? You could say, oh, that tree is green, or oh, that tree is beautiful. So just modeling language instead of asking those open-ended questions. Or if you do have to ask a question, like, what color is the bear? Is it red or brown? And then they might say red or brown, or they might say brown because it's brown, or they might say brown because it's the last thing you said. So also, I was just talking with a mom, we were talking about how it's good to switch it up. So if we know the bear is brown, we might say, what color is the bear? Is it brown or red? And then if the child says red, you know, sometimes they just say the last thing that you said, even though it's not the bear is brown. But then if they say brown, then you know, okay, they were thinking about it and it's more spontaneous. So hopefully that was helpful. It's and I just covered a minimal information. again, there's so much to know about echolalia and Gestalt language processors or Gestalt language learners, and it's really important to work with a professional, a speech pathologist, to figure out, again, what's going on, is there intent, and decide what the best way to address it is and how to help the kiddo. So my video alone, don't just go by my video, but really work with your speech pathologist that knows that your child. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about it and just give an example, you know, in case it's helpful for speech pathologists or parents. Yeah, that's it. So again, I hope this was helpful, and comment, ask questions, and stay tuned for the next video. All right, take care, guys.